I was watching. Do you guys know Abba and Preach?
No.
Okay. Right. So these YouTubers, they were talking over a video. They were reacting to a video where I guess these people decide to take like a gene test, right, to find out, what percentage of them is like truly what they believe, and then the whole time, these two YouTubers watch people get uncomfortable that they find out that they're part white in some way.
Right.
So I was wondering, how comfortable are both of you at being white in this current day?
Interesting.
I think I'll let you say your opinion first, because I think our opinions were very, at least when we first met, our opinions were very different on this. So I'll let you speak first.
Me? Okay.
Unless you don't have anything, and I'll say what I say.
Well, I have two words: white guilt. Especially being a teenager in 2020 when the Black Lives Matter movement took over the internet. That was very difficult, especially because I had a very young mind and I was like, well, what am I supposed to do? No one's telling me how I'm supposed to make this better, I got very frustrated and upset with the fact that I was just a problem by being born this way, But I think as I've gotten a bit older in the last few years, and especially since knowing Hazen, who cares? It's not really that big of a deal what any race anyone is. I think I'm pretty comfortable. And I think it's funny, the other way around. Haz took 23andMe and found out he was like
0.1%.
Actually, could we talk about your mum and her 0.1% Tibetan
My
side?
mom did 23andMe, and she's like, oh, I'm 0.1% Tibetan. So she's like, I'm Asian, so maybe, she loves it. She loves that. She loves bringing that up and how she's Asian and everything like that. And she's like, that's why spicy foods have always agreed with me. I'm like, right?
Because of that 0.1%.
Yeah, but 0.1%.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Girl, no. But okay, can I?
Yeah, that's all I had.
You said, what was the phrase that you said? You said, how comfortable are we with how white we are? Is that what you said?
Wait, huh?
Mario?
Sorry.
He was asking
I misunderstood.
you, not me.
What'd you say?
Did you ask how comfortable we are? Is that the phrase you used? How comfortable we are with how white we are?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna try to say this as eloquently and plainly as I can.
Go for it, Queen.
I'm not that white. Like I'm not uppercase capitalized that lowercase again white. Like I'm not when she was saying, when the Black Lives Matter movement came out and everybody was having all this when the Black Lives Matter movement erupted in 2020, and the white guilt was going around and people were like, oh, white guilt, and all this bullshit. I don't see myself as the same type of white as the Nazi, Trump supporting, fucking horrible, bigoted white people that are in my country of America. I'm not those people. I don't associate with those people. I don't see myself as anywhere. So there's zero white guilt for me. I have zero amount of like, oh, I feel uncomfortable being white in any scenario at all.
Would you say you have an understanding of your white privilege?
Of course. Oh yeah. Of course I do. But the white privilege that I get is,
I just felt like that needed to be said. Sorry.
The white privilege I get is the reaction from other people to me being white, right?
Yeah.
That's white privilege, is people reacting to me being white.
Like how you get better housing, better jobs, better education, all of this, all the opportunities, all of this.
Yeah, and I think it's silly for a younger person like myself, a left-leaning younger person like myself, to feel any kind of guilt or any kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Not hatred towards themselves, but not any kind of uncomfortability towards themselves for being white. When you're not that kind of white, I'm sure my grandparents, my great great grandparents or whatever, sold slaves and were horrible people.
Same.
And we're all, I'm sure that's the case, but I'm not them.
Yeah.
You can't judge a son on the sins of the father. You can't. I don't believe you can. I mean, you can, but you shouldn't. So, in my opinion, I have zero attachment to that kind of white. Like when I see online people talking about cis white men that are ruining this and that, I don't have any attachment to that. I don't feel like, oh, I can't believe they're talking about white people. Oh, I hate that I'm white. I don't have that, because I'm not that kind of white person. I am somebody who has done nothing wrong and has never been a fucking horrible person in my life to other races. So it's like, why? I grew up in fucking Hawaii. I know it was fucking howling in Hawaii, you know, but it's like I grew up among so many different cultures, so many different races, so many different types of people that I can't help.
Did you tell me once too that you learned to use chopsticks before you learned to use a fork?
Yeah, I did. You know, it's like I don't know.
Don't let proves anything. I just think that's very funny.
I have zero uncomfortability with my whiteness in any sense of the scenario. But that being said, I still recognize it. And if I was in a restaurant and we walk into a restaurant and we're the only white people in the restaurant, and you know it's something to notice, I'd notice that, sure. You know, or if the restaurant only had white people, I'd notice that, sure. But I don't know. Do you see what I'm saying here, Maru?
Mm-hmm.
About you understand what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Like,
although I did find it interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Even though you understood. You know?
I don't know. I didn't expect that answer because from what I'm hearing, right, you dealt it in a way that you found a different perspective on this, because what you're saying is, although you are what they say you are not what they describe you as.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
There are different
genres of white.
Different genres of the white people. When people talk about the horrible white, you know, Trump's, when people were in the Black Lives Matter movement were saying, you know, I don't know, when people were people shitting on white people, I was shitting on those same white people because I agree, because I'm not one of those white people. That's just the way I see it. I feel like, and maybe that's me being delusional, but I just don't see myself as that.
Yeah, I get it.
Same. I don't see myself as part of the problem in any sense of the scenario.
It's like me being told that, you know, you all Asians are the same, you fucking communist, but I'm Japanese, right? Yeah. We're not communist. Yeah, I get that. I get that.
But even, how do you feel, like, if people were to say, like, oh, Japan is racist and Japanese people are really racist, like, you don't have any attachment to that, do you?
Attachment. I understand what they're talking about.
Right.
And I have seen it in real life. Yeah. Attachment to that. Well, I personally don't. That's what you're talking about, right? Like,
right.
Do I feel a certain way when I get told that? And the answer would be not really.
Yeah.
But I get it.
Like, you get it. You don't feel like this is an attack on you per se because you're not racist. I mean, maybe you are. I don't know.
I think everybody's somewhat racist. That's how I feel sometimes.
Well, yeah, you have to be a little bit.
Like subconsciously racist.
Yeah, I don't know. But pumpkins.
Do you ever feel that itch when you try to like get help over a phone call? Right? You need to contact the company or something, and then an Indian answers the phone.
What do you mean? What itch? Like annoying?
No, it's like I kind of expected it. I didn't want to expect it, and it was exactly what I expected. And I don't know how.
There's a lot to unpack right there. I
feel. Yeah, I don't know how to describe that feeling.
How do you know they were Indian? Are you making an assumption?
Yes,
based off of their accent?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying we make these little expectations, even though we don't really like to think about that. But for me, anyway, that is a scenario where I feel like I wasn't really like thinking about them until I heard their voice and I realized I had that bit of expectation in me.
At that moment of, oh, of course.
Yeah, that feeling. Yeah. I feel like everybody has that, is how I feel.
Yeah, I'd agree. I feel like there's things that come naturally, there's associations that come naturally just by existing as a human in this world.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's necessarily harm behind it.
Yeah, it's not necessarily negative. True that.
You saying that maybe reminded me of my dad, because my dad is a great person. He's super awesome. And when he has to call like customer service for AT&T bills or, you know, phone bill or whatever, TV bill, he gets annoyed when he can't understand the person. Like really annoyed, but he's very insistent that that's not him being racist. That's just him being annoyed that they don't actually speak very well good English and they can't understand what he's saying and he can't understand what they're saying.
Very well good English.
Very well good English. Yeah, exactly. I'm the one to talk.
Because
he
that's adding work, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and he's really funny when he talks on the phone to customer service because he gets upset, you know, like let's say like he get double charged on his credit card or whatever, and the person on the other end like is not being very helpful. He'll get upset at them and he'll be like, what, you know, he'll say this is bullshit and you owe me a refund and all that, and he'll raise his voice, but then immediately after he says it, he's just like, I know that it's not your fault though. You have nothing to do with it. I know, and he immediately goes like on the defense of being like super sweet to them.
Yeah.
I don't know, that just reminded me of that. So.
But that's nice. He still got that that empathy towards the other person who's receiving.
He's a
That's-
good dad. He taught empathy to his kids.
Some of them.
Some of them. I didn't say that. You did. If they hear this, what are they gonna think of me?
They'll hear you say that you thought I'm a great dad. So that's good.
You have a great dad.
What else do we have to talk about? What other topics were there?
Wait, Mario, was there a crux to this discussion, or was that?
I was just curious because obviously I'm not white, right?
Mhm.
I don't really have that
I mean-
perception.
Congratulations.
Ethnically, no. Color-wise, yes.
Yeah, I'd say I'm olive. You know.
Do you think you get? Oh, okay, but you definitely you and your wife definitely have a lighter complexion to a lot of different types of Asians. Do you
Oh,
think
yeah,
do you
of
find
course.
yourself ever having an advantage because of that? Like, do you ever feel the white privilege, the light skin, the pale privilege of being as an Asian?
I think that kind of like discrimination is really clear in Asia, especially in Philippines from what I experienced. Yeah. If you're brown, and my uncle is like full on brown, and yeah, he lives in the same country as me right now. I think people would react very positively towards me compared to if people in Philippines would speak to my uncle, although he would be fluent in Filipino. Alright, so the point that I'm getting to is something about poor people being brown is the expectation in Asia,
Right.
because that means you're usually like working in like labor jobs. You're out in the sun all day. You're not working in the office, so they expect you to have less money. That I think was very apparent when I was in Philippines like a while back.
I feel like that's definitely still in, especially in America on the West Coast. I feel, and like down south in like Texas, that's definitely a thing for Mexicans that come to America and Latinos that come to America. I think that's very similar thing. You know, people assume that the Mexicans and the Latinos and the brown-skinned people that come up from the southern border
Oh, yeah.
are, you know, working in the fields for $2 an hour, kind of thing.
You mean slavery still happens?